All right, so today is Tuesday, July 28th, and my name is Michael DeLu, and you're tuned in to Pull Up the Tape. First of all, I want to thank everybody who's watching, who's listening, who's supporting me. I know it's not much right now because I just started, but I want you guys to all know, for those of you who consistently watch this, I truly appreciate it, and thank you very much for allowing me into your day and just blessing me with your view or your listen. I really do appreciate it. So before I get into the politics of today's show, I'd like to run through the very same thing. If you're listening to this podcast via, I don't know, some streaming platform like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or SoundCloud, there you go. Do me a favor and share this podcast with anybody you know that loves sports. Anyone that you know that loves sports. I say it all the time. Your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, your teammate, the water boy, the team manager, your coach. If they like basketball, football, soccer, or MMA, or even baseball, share this podcast with them. And for those of you who are listening to this podcast or watching this podcast on my YouTube channel, Pull Up the Tape, do me a quick favor. Like this video, comment on the video, subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and hit the bell notification. Okay? All these things take only a couple seconds. You feel me? But they help me immensely in where I'm trying to get my podcast and my brand to. Okay, so do those things. Support me, rock with me, help me go viral, help me make a movie, help me shake up the room. You feel me? And yeah, so let's get into the politics of today's episode. So, this is the first time something like this has been seen since sports has restarted. So it was reported that this weekend, 3 of the Florida Marlins players tested positive for COVID-19. And I think they tested positive either Saturday or Sunday. And the clubhouse and the players were asked, what do you guys want to do? And the players I don't know why they thought this would be a good idea, but they decided to play their matchup against the Philadelphia Phillies this weekend. And it was reported that the very next day, which was on Monday, that the Florida Marlins had a total of 12 cases of COVID-19. Like the outbreak, the coronavirus hit at, like, they had a spread outbreak within their organization, ballpark, locker room, whatever you want to call it. A total of 9 players and a total of 3. I'm assuming it's 3 like coaches or something, but the other 3 people aren't players, but they're within the organization. And first of all, that right there, I'm going to get into the rest of it, but that right there should have never happened. When more than one person, when more than one player has COVID, that is then time to test everybody immediately and quarantine everybody. I think it was incredibly selfish and stupid for the Marlins knowing that some of their teammates had just contracted COVID to go out there and play against the Phillies. So their home opener, which was on Monday against the Baltimore Orioles. Look at me knowing all the teams' names. I don't even watch baseball like that. Oh, I know it because of the hats. Their home opener versus the Baltimore Orioles canceled. The Yankees and Phillies home opener canceled because the Phillies came in contact with the Marlins. They played the Marlins last weekend. So the MLB had no choice but to cancel it. And it's very idiotic. It's just like, okay, who calls the shots in this organization, and who is in charge? Who decided that it would be a good idea to field out players that possibly that have been exposed to COVID-19 to play against other players in another organization? And this goes into exactly why the NBA canceled their season so fast, because certain players from certain teams had it, right? Then they track back. Okay, where has this player been? What cities? What teams have? What teams have this player? Has this player played against? What teams have? What teams have? What teams have come in contact with players who have been infected, and what teams have they come in contact with? And then when it was all said and done, they realized all 30 teams had either come in contact with somebody who was exposed to COVID or somebody who had COVID. So they decided the best thing to do was shut down the season. Okay, stuff like this cannot continue to happen. If the MLB wants to have any sort of chance to complete their season, stuff like this cannot happen. After doing my research, it just seemed as if there was no clear cut plan for when something like this would happen. Like, I don't think it didn't sound like the MLB had any idea of what would happen if, multiple players in one organization contracted the virus. Because nothing was set up, and just the way that it was being discussed amongst league officials and people who had inside information on the sources, like nothing. Like, for example, Dana White said that the bubble idea. Okay, that's what Fight Island is. Fight Island is a bubble for fighters. Same thing what Orlando is for the NBA players. That the bubble concept is like the whole thing is doable, but it's expensive. But it's something that can be done, and baseball owners definitely have the means, the funds, and the revenue to make it happen. If you are not going to if you are going to go about having a season where teams are traveling from city to city, blase, obviously there needs to be more stricter guidelines in place for when stuff like this happens. Or because if there's no such thing, if there's no bubble, then players need to be getting tested every single day. Players need to be having minimal contact with outside of the organization as much as possible. Like, bro, there obviously needs to be things that are put into place and needs to be done like that to restrict stuff like this from happening. Or just even common sense. Like, if the Phillies knew, the Marlins players knew that some of their teammates had contracted COVID, why would you then go out the next day and play a game? That's selfish, that's stupid, that's idiotic. They should get fined for that, to be honest. That logically does not make sense. And this puts the MLB season into jeopardy. Like, they cannot continue to have teams doing what the Marlins did, and then going out and affecting players, like possibly affecting players from another organization, and who knows who. I don't know. It's just a terrible situation, and I don't know. I just have to speak on it. I don't usually speak on baseball, but it came on First Take, and I got a notification on my phone. That's how I knew it was a really big deal. And this is probably the first time since COVID that we've seen this many players on one team get it, or this many players in one organization being hit by it pretty hard. So it's just like, I don't know. I definitely feel like I needed to discuss it, and it needed some of my attention because, it is, yeah. I hope those players recover quickly. What I will say about COVID is I actually know various people who have got it, but the majority of the people that I know that got it are of the same around my age, so like 24, 23, 25, 26. And for the most part, they're all telling me, like, if you quarantine yourself, they like, actually the individuals that I spoke to that had COVID, two of them told me they weren't prescribed any medicine. They weren't given any medicine. They just were told quarantine yourself and you should be solid, which, I mean, is kind of crazy. I thought there was some sort of medicine or X, Y, and Z, blase, blase, but I guess not. I guess your body's just gonna naturally fight it off. But obviously, the people already have pre-existing medical conditions can't just fight it off. So yeah, but I expect all these people to bounce back. I mean, Russell Westbrook had it 2 weeks later. He's fine. He's practicing. He's playing. A lot of players, a lot of people are going to contract it. But the point of social distancing is to limit the spread of it and reduce how fast it happens. Like, obviously, people are gonna catch it, but the point of social distancing, the point of stay-home orders, the point of not only going out when it's essential and when you need to, the point of all these things is to reduce how many people come in contact with it. Like, and people are like, oh man, I don't even want to get into that whole politics, but yeah. So to my next topic, Keenan Allen. Okay, for those of you who don't know, Keenan Allen is a all pro caliber, Pro Bowl caliber receiver who plays for the Los Angeles Chargers. All right, this is a bad brother. He went to University of California, and I believe he was drafted in like 2011 or 2012. Can't remember off the top of my head, but Keenan Allen has carved up a nice career for himself. You know, he's had several. For the most part, whenever he's healthy, he has 1,000-yard receiving year. I don't know exactly how or why this became such a big thing. I was seeing it all over social media on Monday. He thinks very highly of himself and decided to go on social media and express how he feels about himself. I mean, this is around the time. I don't know. I think the NFL Top 100 is starting right now or something right now. The list of players made by the players, and he decided to voice how he feels about himself amongst his peers in terms of other receivers. So he flat out said that he feels like he's the best receiver in the league. And I'm going to read verbatim exactly what he said. So he said, okay, I'm tired of biting my tongue. And then he adds Cheetah, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin. And the list goes on. Are not a better receiver than me. Faster than me every day of the week. But separation, child, please. And I will say this. He's probably one of the best route runners in the NFL. Like, him, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen. Who else can I say? Like, exceptional route runners. I can't think of any. Oh, Michael Thomas off the top of my head. I think Keenan Allen his footwork and his mechanics are impeccable, and he's like probably like a step above those dudes in terms of just that criteria. But as the whole package as a receiver, no. If he is top 5, he's 5. Julio Jones is better than him. DeAndre Hopkins is better than him. Mike Evans is better than him. Is there anybody else that I would take above him? Don't think I could think of any off the top of my head. Any other ones? But maybe if you want to throw Stephon Diggs or Adam Thielen or Odell Beckham, but I feel like those dudes are on the same thing. And he said, I'm the best. I'm the best. And then he said, I'm the best wide receiver in the AFC West without a question. So, I didn't even realize this, but Mike Evans actually responded to it. So he said, You tagged the wrong Chris Godwin. LOL. And don't be mad at us. We ain't making the rankings or care about them. I like the confidence, but be realistic. You're not on my level, bro. Yikes. So they went. I wouldn't say they went back and forth, but he just threw in it. Mike Evans added his 2 cents. Mike Evans is also a baller, but I don't know. I love the confidence in X, Y, and Z, but I don't think he's the best receiver. And one, I'm gonna share a personal story about Keenan Allen. I would love to tell him this when I meet him too. So my second and third season playing fantasy football ever. Like the first time I ever played fantasy football, I think was in like 2011, my junior year of high school. 2011. So the very next time I played fantasy football was 2015. No, 2014. 2014. The very next time I played fantasy football was 2014. So Keenan Allen was I think Keenan Allen was my first round pick. Yeah. No. Keenan Allen was because I picked at the end of the first round. So I picked, it's pretty stupid. I picked Andrew Luck and Keenan Allen. I don't know why I picked the quarterback in the first round, but I picked Andrew Luck and Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen was balling that year. I think like the very first game against the Chargers. He had very first game against the Lions. Actually, it might have been the next year they played the Lions, the very first game of the season, because my homies drove from LA to San Diego just to watch the game play. Shout out to Nathan. Shout out to Shazeb. Shout out to Mo. Shout out Tony. That season, I think he was up until that point where he injured his spleen, he was like the number one receiver in fantasy or top 3 in fantasy. So he gets hurt, and he got hurt against the Ravens. And the play he got hurt, he caught a touchdown pass. So I really couldn't be upset. He caught a touchdown pass, but he lacerated his spleen in the process of it. So I was like, all right, I rock with him. He's a baller. I'm going to pick him up next year. The very next year, I picked him up again in like the first or second round. Except this time, he tears his ACL the first game of the season. And my team was trash then on after because of that. My first round pick was a dud. And my other first round pick was also a dud too, DeMarco Murray. That turned out to be his last season in the NFL. And then ever since then, I never picked up Keenan Allen on any of my fantasy teams. And then now that I've seen him stay healthy and ring off all these successful seasons and consecutive seasons of 1,000, I'm just like, wow, that's crazy. Like, I never got that when he was on my team, when I believed in him and I picked him up. And also, these leagues are for money. So I'm not gonna say I see Keenan Allen as damaged goods or anything like that, but I never was ever since then I never trusted that he would remain healthy the entire season, so I never picked him up. But I am really happy to see him doing well and succeeding, and just getting the recognition that he does deserve. He's for sure a top 10 receiver. I don't know about the best. I don't even know about top 5. Maybe if I say top 5, he is 5. But yeah, I don't know about that. So I love this though. I love when the players come out and speak their mind, see how they really feel. Because I mean, a lot of players obviously view themselves as a lot better than they really are. Because like we all know, like the first 3 dudes I said, Julio, DeAndre Hopkins, and Michael Thomas. Those dudes are just on different levels, bro. They're on different levels than the rest. They're like ahead of the pack. Those 3 are for sure ahead of the pack. Like Julio's been ahead of the pack since he got into the league. Michael Thomas has been ahead of the pack for like the past 2 seasons. DeAndre's been ahead of the pack for like a good amount of his career. And if Antonio Brown was still in the league and actually playing, he'd be ahead of the pack too. So those are like the four dudes that I see are as just like elite of the elite. And then the next crop is like very good receivers. But those dudes right there, elite of elite. So my very last topic that I wanted to get into, before I get into my last topic, I want to say this. So in yesterday's episode, I talked about Jamal Adams being traded. So Jamal Adams got traded to the Seahawks on Saturday, and Le'Veon Bell actually took exception to that. So I think he posted on Instagram or Twitter. No, he posted on Twitter. It's really funny that people do all the hooting and hollering to get you brought in just to leave. Like, people are weird, yo. The internet got these dudes doing whatever. Ooh. Got these people doing whatever for attention, even when they tell you shit that they don't believe themselves. And then Jamal Adams quoted that and said, "Noted, see you week 14. So Le'Veon Bell responded, "Noted what? LOL, you lied. Please trust. That is noted. Then if I'm supposed to see you in week 14 as a threat, I don't. But it's all love. Like I told you on the phone, I want the best for you. If this is the best for you, I want it for you, bro." So they went back and forth. And obviously Le'Veon Bell felt the way that Jamal Adams jumped ship and just ditched the circus clown that the Jets are. But it's really funny. Like, I love when NFL players go at it and just, like, you know, express how they truly feel. Because I mean, if I was Le'Veon Bell, I'd low-key be upset too. It seemed like I remember the season that Le'Veon's last season with the Steelers. The Jets did a lot of courting of him, and a lot of the Jets players like threw it out there in the media like, "Oh, we want Le'Veon Bell," and Jamal Adams was one of them. I'm not gonna say Le'Veon Bell has a right to feel the way they feel, but feel the way he feels. But I mean, come on, bro. Not come on, bro. But I mean, Jamal Adams hasn't been on a relevant team since he got into the NFL. So it's a little funny that, you know, I mean, and you played for the Steelers. Like, the Steelers have been a very successful organization since even before you got there. So the Jets, the last time the Jets made the playoffs was like 2012 or 2013. I can't remember the exact year. It was 2012 or 2013. Ever since then, they've been poo-poo, garbage. And Jamal Adams happened to walk into that situation, and they haven't progressed at all. Their defense is bad. Their offense is bad. Their offensive line is bad. They don't have good they're terrible. Honestly, they were terrible last year. They're gonna be terrible this year. I have the Dolphins being better than them. Like, I honestly think the Dolphins will win more games than them. So I can't fault Perez for jumping ship and just wanting out of there. Like, bro, like, when you see a sinking ship, you gotta dip. Get your way out of there as soon as possible. And yeah, and this is why the NFL is so interesting and has like the best storylines and everything. So yeah. But to get into my last topic, I want to talk about Kyrie Irving. He actually did something very, very good. And I know the media likes to when Kyrie's name is brought up, they love to slander him and, you know, call him a locker room cancer. And I'm not going to refute any of these things like they're not true. You know, Kyrie doesn't have the cleanest track record with being, you know, the best teammate or anything like that. But I always give respect and show love when it's due and when it's earned and deserved. But the Brooklyn Nets All-Star point guard has committed $1.5 million to help support the income of WNBA players who have chosen to opt out the 2020 season. And this is according to Brian Mahoney of the Associated Press. And the statement that he made was, whether a person decided to fight for social justice, play basketball, or focus on physical or mental health, or simply connect with their families, this initiative can hopefully support their priorities and decisions. The donation will be a part of Kia Empowerment initiative created by Irving that will also provide WNBA players with a comprehensive financial literacy program. And I want to give a salute to him and clap it up for him, because I think that's an incredible gesture, an incredible act. I feel like Kyrie does get rightfully so, and I mean, low-key kind of deserved. Kyrie does get a lot of hate and just gets talked down upon for various reasons. You know, Kyrie was that young dude who wanted everything handed on a plate, and then, you know, he realized what it is to be a leader in the locker room, and, you know, to carry a team. And the whole 2018, the Celtics almost making it to the finals and blah blah blah. I understand, you know, Kyrie's career has been filled with ups and downs, but, you know, regardless of that, I give credit where credit is due. This is a very nice gesture, very incredible gesture, and I mean, again, I don't think Kyrie is a bad person deep to his root, deep to his soul. Like, you know, he seems like he was raised right. His father seems like an excellent man, you know, and Kyrie's been through a lot in his life. Kyrie's lost, you know, a lot of valuable people in his life and stuff like that. So, you know, I think it's always good to put into perspective, you know, what people are going through in their lives and something like that. Like, you know, nobody, like, for example, what's always said, and I don't want to get too personal into this, but nobody checks on the strong people. Nobody checks on people who are always checking on other people and stuff like that. But Kyrie, very nice of you, because, you know, WNBA players don't make a lot of money as it is. So the fact that he's supporting those who are deciding to opt out and don't want to play for various reasons because they want to take a stand against social injustice that is happening all over this country, especially towards black people, and it's just different things and different elements like that. I commend him for that. Props to him. Movie, he's going viral. I rock with it. Like that's incredible. That's big time. All the athletes I commend all the athletes that are actually doing something with their platform and making a main difference, man. These individuals are so lucky I'm not on like I will be in the future. I would be wreaking havoc on social media. What? I'd be calling people out. Yes, like what? Oh no. Like bro, fundraising, I'd be applying pressure at every single level, at the state level, the federal level, the city level, like all that, the county level. I'm on it. Like what? Come on now. So props to Kyrie. That concludes today's podcast. I want to thank everybody who is supporting me. Like I honestly, truly, I truly do appreciate it. I didn't, like, last week was probably the worst week in terms of views and all that stuff. But again, none of that matters, because look, here's the thing. I am actively working on improving every single thing I'm doing. What you're seeing right now, the way it looks, it's going to look better in the future. The content that I'm like, everything about it, the aesthetics, my topics, the way I'm organized, everything is gonna get better. Hey, stick with me, and you're gonna see it yourself. Okay. For those of you who are listening to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, do me a favor and share this podcast with anybody you know. It only takes a couple seconds. Just tell them, hey yo, pull up the tape. Just tell these people, if they like sports, soccer, basketball, football, or MMA, tell them about my podcast. Tell them I'm a Chelsea fan. Tell them I love the Lakers. Tell them I'm a Jaguars fan. Tell them I'm a USC Trojans fan. Tell them I love Arizona State because I went there. If you're watching this podcast on my YouTube channel, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you already are not, and hit the bell notification. It only takes a couple seconds. There's no reason why you shouldn't do it. Okay? Help me go viral. Help me shake up the room. Help me make a movie. Bow!